All right, so the week ended, and it was a terrible week for me, even though there was so much opportunity for money to be made. And I read the market right most of the time, but I missed on all the shots that I took. It was really terrible. So it was a losing week for me. Just to finish up the day, we had a very bullish, another bullish engulfing candle. I don't know if you call that a bullish engulfing candle, but another very bullish candle to go all the way from 33.75 all the way up to 325. It actually entered my short that I had here from before. Now I'm a little bit nervous about this short, but I had it there for a reason, because on the 4 hour you can argue that it is still a downtrend. So you had the downward move and then lower low, right? Because it broke this low. So you have a lower low, lower high, much lower low. It broke this low again, and then we don't know where this is going, because the week ended before a high could be established. So if this could easily keep going up. It could go straight up. Who knows? This week ended. All the news articles are saying that the market is very optimistic. Tech stocks soared. Blah blah blah. So this could blow past all of this stuff and make new highs. Go straight up to 35,000. Um, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's more likely to bounce off of the previous support, which was down here. That was a very strong area. This was a very, very strong area. It held up very nicely, except for maybe this might have been news or something like that. I don't know. But it held up very nicely, and I'm personally expecting it to hold up again. So kind of nervous about it because of the bullish momentum that it came inside here with. But then the week ended, hit the reset button. Sunday night, we'll see what happens. Monday morning, we'll see even more officially what happens. Okay, so then I want to see. Let's see now. How do I bring up? Okay. Does this work? Let me see if this is working. Okay, it is working. All right, so this is the dashboard for the prop firm that I'm using. This is Lux, and this is my account performance since the beginning of the evaluation. And we're just going to take a look at this week, which is from January 16 to 20. So from January 16 to 20, let's see what we're dealing with here. Let's copy paste this into Google. Create a blank one and see how we did. That doesn't look right at all. Let's do values only. Okay, so now. Okay, I don't have the headers in here, but I don't need them. This is just for the sake of looking at my own performance. So if I do the sum, I had a losing week this week. I lost $150 net this week. I'm actually kind of surprised at that because it felt like so much more. I had a couple of winners that were not full wins. My only wins were, I had 2 wins, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is technically a break even, so I'm not going to call it. 8, 9, 10, 11 losses, and 2 wins. That's how terrible this week was. So if I do 11 losses, 2 wins, 1 break even. So 11 plus 2 plus 1 is 14 total. So 2 out of 14 was my winning rate. I only won 14%. That's awful. 11 out of 14 is 78%. Let's ignore the losing one. So let's just do 2 out of 13. Still terrible, 15%, and then 11 out of 13 is 85%. So I lost 85% losers this week. It's awful. But with all that being said, I still only lost around 150 bucks, which is surprising. That is, let's see, that is 1%, because it's a $15,000 account. I should just bring that back. It's 1%. Whoops, that's not it. Wrong prop firm. Okay. Yeah, $15,000. I lost 1%. So that's kind of what happens when you have your risk in check. When I look at this, it doesn't. When I look at the performance, yeah, I mean, I've had worse. I've had worse streaks where I went from 15,538 all the way down to 15,239. That was a terrible week as well. And then I recovered a little, and then oh no, the start of the week was around here. Okay, so I lost a bunch, recovered a little, and then continued to lose. So when I look at this overall in general, it's not the end of the world. At least it's not going up and down, up and down, up and down like crazy. So it's not. It doesn't look like I'm gambling and getting lucky and just going nuts with risk all over the place. The risk managers at Lux are gonna want to see risk to be in check, and this is hopefully this is well within their risk parameters. To me personally, it is within my risk parameters. It feels terrible, but it isn't actually that terrible mathematically. It's like it's okay. So that's the end of the week. On Monday, I'll resume the US 30. I might also start looking at the NASDAQ for something that builds quarters a little bit slower. Because I do have a very busy week next week, so I'm planning ahead for not being able to trade as much next week. So I'm just gonna be able to do these journal entries in the morning, like in the afternoon, like at 9 a.m. at the close of every 4-hour candle, 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5 p.m. maybe if it's even worth talking about. I don't know. Or I might just do 2, maybe just 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. I'm not sure. But I might also decide to trade the NASDAQ if I can get myself a little bit more familiarized with it, because it moves almost like the Dow, but the Dow has been kind of the outlier, kind of doing its own thing, kind of deviating from the four brothers, like the 4 indices that usually move together. It's been the odd man out doing its own weird thing. So it's like, I think that's been one of the factors into why my trading has been a little bit off. I'm definitely missing a lot of the moves. It's definitely my fault as well, mostly my fault. But I think the trickiness of the Dow has been a factor as well. So the Nasdaq is something where I can get where I can get a good 250 point move. Probably wouldn't go for 500 here. I may do more of like the 50 point move, 50 point stop, I should say, and a 250 point take profit for 5-to-1s as my bread and butter, which I think is going to work pretty well. It just doesn't move as much as the Dow. Like, for example, a 1% move on the NASDAQ would be approximately 116 points, whereas a 1% move on the Dow is 300 something points, but just by the sheer nature of the number of the index. So this is definitely maybe a little bit slower, and if I'm going for 250, 500 point moves, then this is an easier. I'm not going to say easier. It's definitely a slower moving index for just catching big quarters. So that's part of the thinking, and so that's part of the process. So